Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Boiler Room. I'm your host, my call sign's Hesher, over here in the Boiler Room, hosting the Social Rejects Roundtable on this June the 2nd of 2022. Welcome to the show. Visit us on the web, of course, alternatecurrentradio.com. That's where you can find us out there on the web for all things Alternate Current Radio, all things Boiler Room, all things Sunday Wire. What else? Boy, we got so much going on over there at the website. We got the Daily Ruckus. We got Soul Purpose. We got the Oddcast. We got the Mystical American Patriots Society. We got music mixtapes for you metalheads, for just about everybody. We got Photon rolling the belt of sound out every Saturday. We got a Spalding mix with Daniel Spalding. We got Infidel's Magic Carpet Ride, Match Shuffle, Hesher Session Anarchy with Spore. So join us on Saturdays. Hang out for the music. And welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's great to see everybody out there in the chat room. Let me get the chat room up in there. We do have a chat over on our Discord server. You can find a link to that if you want to jump into the chat tonight or at any other time. That chat is, well, there's many chats in our Discord, but when we're live with Boiler Room, it's the channel called live-br-chat. That's where everybody's hanging out. Good to see everybody in there. Whitebird, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Tequila Dead Man, Awake Jake. We got Spore in there. We got Eric V. We got Kimmy. What is up, my bro? We got Brent. Let's see here. Yeah, I won't scroll up too far there. I know we got a bunch of our friends in there. It's great to see everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight for this live show. We're going to just go ahead and jump right into it tonight because there's a lot going on, and we're just going to hop right in and start introducing people. So let's welcome MindSpaceArt to the Boiler Room. MindSpace, how's it going? Welcome to the Boiler Room.
Hello, it's going well. I've been getting some more proper sleep, so I'm a little more ready and keyed in and focused for this discussion here tonight. And you know that it's easy to burn the candle at both ends when you're doing the kind of work that we do. So just a reminder to everybody out there to, careful with your sleep schedule and all that. But yeah, let's get into it here.
All right. Yeah, there you go, man. Good advice. See, this is where the Boiler Room differs from a lot of those shows out there. We were just talking in the green room before the show started about how terrible Fox News can be, even though they're right some of the times and you want to agree with them. It just leaves you feeling agitated, just so agitated. They never leave you with that Hulkster sort of statement where it's like, take your vitamins and get to bed on time, that kind of stuff. So you can get a little bit of that here in the Boiler Room. That's MindSpaceArt. You can check him out on the Soul Purpose podcast. Up next, we got Infidel Pharaoh joining us. Infidel, welcome back to the show, our resident scientist. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Glad to be here on BR tonight. And you're right. What a fun show. Everybody with no agenda. We come and speak our minds, and I enjoy it. Thanks for having me.
That's right. Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, man. Looking forward to getting into it tonight. Everybody, you can check out Infidel's music selection on Infidel's Magic Carpet Ride. There's a whole page for that show at alternatecurrentradio.com. Get in there and check it out. Check out some of his eclectic mixtapes. And of course, he joins us in the Boiler Room on Thursday nights. Up next, we've got the man behind the Oddcast. So everybody get ready. The audience is here tonight because the Oddman Out is here. Oddman, welcome to the show. How you doing?
What's up, man? I am here in FEMA Region 4 in my underground lair, and I can hear the black helicopters circling overhead. They haven't found me yet, so I can't wait to hang out and enjoy another boiler room with my favorite people.
Absolutely, man. Your bunker is dope. Look at that, everybody. There's a banjo in the background. We got some drums. We got some masks. We got more books and media than we could shake our brains at during an extended lockdown. So there it is. The Odd Studio is here. Thanks, Odd Man.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. Let's see here. Up next, we have the creator, producer, host, everythinger of the Daily Ruckus. There's a ruckus among us. Ruckus, welcome to the Boiler Room. How you doing tonight?
I'm all right. Thanks for having me. It's a shame that we do these videos now and I'm not quite prepared, but I used to just shave on a regular basis for a 9-to-5 job. And since I work from home, I don't have to do that anymore. But now I have to do that again. But I'm happy to do that for the Boiler Room. But I literally cut my ear shaving. So some advice for you folks out there: if you use like the straight blade razor, don't use that to try to catch any errant hairs close to your ear. So there's my advice. And yeah, thanks for having me. Let's
all right. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we got grooming tips. We got a lot of self-care going on tonight in the intro. That's wonderful, Ruckus. I know what you mean, man. I had to stop doing notes and take a shower before the show because I was looking a little bit grisly to be on these cameras. But great to have you with us tonight, enjoying the new episode of the Daily Ruckus. Everybody get out there and get caught up if you're not caught up on the Daily Ruckus yet. And it looks like we got a combat landing just in time for introductions here. We got the Truth Hound joining us, Mr. Mark Anderson. What's up? Welcome to the Boiler Room.
Not much. I don't have any fashion tips right now, except don't drive too many hours without sleep, like I've been doing. It's unfashionable.
Yes. So you're in the mobile Truth Hound rig right now, right? You're out doing stuff.
I'm somewhere in Missouri, the show me state. Show me the truth. I can't find any truth. Where is it? Who took it?
We're desperately looking for it, Mark. So yeah, let us know if you find it while you're out there on your travels this summer. And hey, it's great to have you with us tonight, Mark.
Great to be had.
All right. That leads us to the one, the only, the very lovely, the keeper of all things WTF on the interwebs. Lovely Spore. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Thank you. I am very happy to be here. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Well, we're very happy to have you and excited to hear what we're going to break the ice with tonight.
Well, I have a double icebreaker tonight. The first one is from Blue Aviation. Shout out to you, dude. And also, I want to say shout out to everybody that's been putting icebreakers in the channel because there are too many to choose from. And that's awesome. I love having some options and not having to dig much. And y'all are really helping with that.
Yeah, we've truly maximized the crowdsourcing on strange Whiskey Tango Foxtrot articles, haven't we, Spore?
Oh yeah, we could do an icebreaker every day if we wanted to.
Yeah, well, when we get caught up, with life and everything, maybe we will. We'll see how we can work that in. But for tonight, what do you got for us?
Okay, so this is from The Independent. The title is Climate Change. Could beer made from urine help water shortages?
Oh, no. Okay. Beer, urine beer. All right. What do you got? How does this work?
Yeah, so through reading the article, Singapore has been having droughts similar to like California. And so they've been recycling sewage. And a certain company decided to make a beer out of it. They call it ultra clean water.
That seems like a bit of an oxymoron, but okay.
Yeah, it's called ultra clean water, and it's used to create a tropical blonde ale.
Of course, it's a blonde ale.
Yeah, and here's a quote from somebody that tried it. It definitely goes down smooth. I could probably, if I wanted to, drink a whole lot of these.
Okay.
Apparently, Singapore has been recycling their sewage for lots of things, and this is all for climate change. This is you don't get enough rainwater. It's time to drink your own sewage. And the thing that's interesting is like the title of the article is about the beer, but they're using it for different things. And it's about urine, and it's not just urine that goes in sewage. It's like a whole lot of stuff.
Right? I mean, you've got that. You've got the solid waste, the semi-solid waste, the garbage, and then there's all the the chemicals, right? Like there's a lot of evidence showing that there are like
Lithium, like
lithium,
pharmaceutical
SSRI,
drugs,
pharmaceuticals, right? All kind of nasty stuff.
vomit, of course, things
Yeah.
like paper products, tampons, all sorts of things go in sewage. So
Yeah, you name it. People have we got all these drug users out there dumping their fentanyl and their cocaine down the toilet too when the popo knocks on the hotel door or the single wide door, right?
yeah.
You don't know what's in there. You don't know what's in there. All right. Well, that's pretty creepy, Spore. Anything else in the article you want to throw out there before
No, I think that's pretty much it. And then I'm just gonna swiftly move on to the next one. And you
Oh,
found
you're gonna double do us. Okay. All right.
you guys because these are related. Primary school children are getting educated on etymophagy, which we probably have mentioned in the past means eating bugs. So UK is set to pilot a scheme that aims to educate children about eating alternative proteins such as insects. And they talk about mealworms, insects, and plant proteins. And they're going to be kicking off this. It's a product that they're going to be giving these kids called Vixo, which is a combination of edible insects and plant-based proteins that look like mincemeat.
Looks like mincemeat.
Yeah, and they're not doing it quite yet, and we don't have to eat bugs yet, they say in the article, but they're preparing for these kids' future.
Wow. Remember when like we used to do that thing where it was like you would want your kids to have a better life than you did. You would want them to eat, as good or better than you did growing up. That was always kind of, I don't know. I felt like that was a similar goal amongst responsible parents, pretty much. I guess are we lowering expectations now? Is it MindSpace? Is that what's happening? We're just lowering expectations and putting a little predictive programming, a little bit of Greta into the frontal lobe.
Yeah, into the blend, the bug blend.
In the puree.
Yeah, surely. You'll be picking silkworms out of your teeth. Yeah, but this is absolutely in line with what you're saying. Everything is lowering the standard, bring it all down, equalize it for the peasantry, and don't have any aspirations for that better life, that better nutrition or health, or material comfort. Just prepare for the apocalypse. So it's a very demoralizing future that they want to program these people in schools with. And it has a real effect. I mean, if you're constantly being barraged psychologically, with expecting some future where you're going to be eating bugs, then, you'll be more inclined probably to accept that and not to fight against it. And, if the institutions in the society are telling everybody that this is just how it goes, and everybody's thinking that on the ground level it's just little old me, what could I possibly do to change this situation? Oh, I got to do my part. It's a good thing. I'm saving the climate, by eating the bugs or living in this some austerity tent, or just minimizing the living standards. So yeah, we should absolutely just reject this stuff and realize that it's all just to bring people's standard of living down.
Eat the bugs, eat the bugs, eat the bugs. Let's have the kids eat the bugs. Oh my gosh.
We did actually have bugs showing up in our grocery store about a year or two ago as little snacks like cricket jerky and things like that. And they were pretty swiftly removed. I think there was some complaints.
Yeah, they appeared to be very unpopular, much like the fake meat they keep throwing in the meat sections that seems to just sit there and sit there and sit there. It's really not selling well. So maybe they're just gonna, I don't know, maybe they need to aim it at the kids first, Infidel Pharaoh. So I got to get them young, I guess. The researchers have teamed up with teachers and hope many of the 5 to 11-year-olds in the study will be willing to taste some edible insects to see how they find them. So they're going after them as young as 5, dude. That's like the day you drop your kid off at school the first time.
Yeah, and what they don't talk about is really the quality of the protein and the other values in that protein, and how much bugs do you need to eat to get the amount of protein you really need. It's it's the same like how they try to sell like plant protein, and for you to go vegan. So I really wish that they wouldn't like they focus maybe on more wholesome food, I would say, in schools for kids. So more wholesome education and wholesome food. I think that will be much better for kids than trying to brainwash them with just useless ideology. I think MindSpace said it right. They are trying to brainwash them really young to get them into this, because this is how they trying to start early on. But I enjoy my beef, my friend, and I'm gonna keep eating it. I'm gonna get my kid to keep eating it.
Yeah, man. There you go. There you go. Odd man out. Infidel makes a good point there. Maybe this is how would Smokestack put it? He would say maybe this is the diet. Maybe the kids are getting the diet they deserve because it goes perfectly with the level of wholesomeness with the education that they're getting, right? Like we're basically putting mind worms in these kids anyway, so let's just put mealworms in their mouths.
Good point, man. Yeah, it's I would say like they've been pushing this stuff now for years, and it's like it's kind of odd to me too because like it's always bugs, and it's like even if they were trying to get people away from meats, well, guess what is a great source of protein and is pretty tasty? Beans. There's all kinds of beans and lentils and stuff like that. So it's just like it's infuriating. I hate hearing about this, and I'm like, well, when the Capitol Grill there in D.C. stops selling meats to all the politicians and only serves them bugs, then talk to me about eating bugs. It's just not going to happen, and it's like it's just mind control and propaganda on our kids. And I think that in a perfect world, we would arrest these people and feed them only bugs for pushing this on our kids.
There you go. Yeah, let's treat it the same way we treat war. You politicians want to have a war, you go fight it. You go send your kids to fight it. Don't expect the plebs kids to go fight it. Yeah, Ruckus, this reminds me I think it was last week we were talking about Soylent Green. Here we are again back to Soylent Green paradigm, and I couldn't figure out like if this was just a like we're basically like just kind of testing the kids, right? Like just trying to get it in their heads. But I had to look at a couple articles to find out, yeah, they actually are going to see what they think. They're going to feed them this stuff. They're going to have it available in the school. Do you think the parents have any say in this, or is it like, some medical procedures these days? And it's just going to be like, parent, you don't have any say in that. We're going to feed your kid the bugs.
First off, I'm reminded of an old joke where a customer at a restaurant complains, "Waiter, excuse me, there's a fly in my soup." The whole paradigm around that joke has completely changed. For those of you younger viewers who don't know, the original punchline to that joke was, "Oh, shh, quiet, or else everyone will want one too," But at that time, having a fly in your soup was considered undesirable, and clearly we're moving towards a different direction now. This whole thing is disturbing. I did look at some of these articles too, and I thought, they can't really be doing this for the obvious reason of the fact is that us grown-ups, adults, are set in our ways and have some connotations and notions about this, and we don't want to eat the bugs. I mean, I think it's even a trending hashtag talking about eating bugs and all that stuff. So it's a real divisive thing, kind of like, other hot topics like, say, wear the mask or don't wear the mask, own guns for your safety or be completely defenseless and die. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But the thing is, like, it divides these things, it polarizes it, it politicizes it. and the adults are harder to get to, and they're very dead on serious about this agenda, the 2030 thing, the Great Reset, this climate agenda stuff. They ain't fooling around, folks. Obviously, we hear it every day, all the time. Everything about it leads back to this climate change discussion, including all those other things that I mentioned about the masks and the bang bangs. Okay. So they're not letting this go, but they realize they can't get to the grown-ups. So we're going to go after the kids, folks. And why would we do that? And they say it right in the articles. It's because the kids aren't like the grown-ups. They're not buying into one way or another. They're still innocent. They can be molded, shaped, encouraged. If we have any hope for the future, because we are latching so strongly onto this idea that if we all don't start eating bugs as a species, we're all screwed, right? Well, let's just get the most youngest and most impressionable, moldable minds there are, our children. And that just proves to you the power that these people have over your kids by having them in these public schools. Because if you think just eating bugs is one way that they're planting thoughts and nudging and controlling what they're going to turn out to be in the future, you're seriously mistaken. Hey, real quick, Oddman Out. The beans idea would be great, except there's one big problem. As we all know, when you consume too much beans, you toot. And the toot leads to more climate change. So clearly that's not going to work. And one last thing, I guess, about the piss beer. It's funny that it's beer made out of piss, because isn't that what you call cheap, nasty tasting beer? Piss beer?
I think so, yeah. Or piss water.
Piss beer. Yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point there, Ruckus. All right. Let's see here. We got the Truth Hound with us. I'm going to go ahead and unmute your mic for you there, Truth Hound. Welcome to the show, man. So we've got... You hear me all right?
Yeah. I've got a little bit of limited time. There's a personal matter to tend to, but I heard the intro stuff. The eating bugs thing would be okay as a survival class. Survivalism, preparedness in case there isn't regular food available, and to teach kids how to forage. Now that would be applicable in a certain way. That would be okay. But if they're pitching it as if this is the wave of the future, that's another matter altogether. So the context is important. Soldiers are taught how to survive and forage, eat bugs, eat certain plants, avoid certain mushrooms. There's nothing wrong with that kind of knowledge. But yeah, it's the way they're peddling it is what really matters. And the public schools being what they've become, it's amazing that more people haven't caught on to the not one but two opportunities to close or at least limit the influence of these public schools. The first opportunity was the COVID shutdown. The second one is all these school shootings. I mean, whether one believes in the veracity of these reports or not, and there's many difficult things to believe, contradictory reports, etc., why not just err on the side of caution and hire private tutors, use online courses, go to the library? What a perish the thought, right? We have tax-supported libraries. Why not use them? And get these kids out of these public schools. Get them away from potential or actual mass shootings. Get them away from this ridiculous curriculum. We've had one opportunity with COVID. Now we've got another one with the so-called school safety issue. Let's not blow this. The establishment is inadvertently giving us an opportunity to get the kids out from under this stuff. Let's take it.
That's a really good point there, Mark. You don't even need to get into the minutia or the so-called conspiracy aspects of these things to see that the way that they deal with this stuff is to lock down. Again, a prison term. We saw lockdown with the pandemic, and lockdown is the key word for these events. And parents aren't allowed to go in and get their kids in an event like this when no one else will. It's just getting to the point where it's like, why would you put yourself, I don't even understand why a teacher would want to be a teacher in schools when they have to participate in all this stuff. And it's like they make them do these drills all the time. With the drills make it such that it's got that I would think that could be a factor in the chaos and the confusion that they're leaning so heavily on in the media here, because nobody, if there's not good information, nobody can tell the difference between a drill and something real. Sometimes the drill is actually a bit of a cry wolf, especially if they're not going to follow the protocols for the whole thing anyway. So, I mean, this might be a deeper conversation for later in the show overall, but yeah, it's a great point, Mark. And you know, I saw another one today. They had one in Oklahoma, I think,
Yeah.
and I didn't even get a chance to really look into it. I don't really have any analysis on it other than the 5 minutes I did spend looking at it. It was that same thing where it's like, oh, we know what happened. We say we know what happened. We say the threat is down. The event's done, but we're still gonna lock down all the adjacent buildings and have 500 LEO vehicles there from multiple agencies, and then have a reunification center set up down the road at the high school. Like, I can't even imagine as an adult working in a cubicle or a medical facility or whatever, and knowing that you could just get flat out stuck there like a prisoner. I've never worked in a place like that. I've always worked in a place where if it was time for me to walk out of the room, I could walk out of the room. I can't imagine. It's just hard for me to fathom this whole like lockdown and hope for authorities to save your life and wonder if you're in a drill or something real. 'Cause, it's just a mess. It's a whole messy thing that they've set up now.
Yeah, I'll just add a quick after comment, and then I need to check on something. That seems to be an undercurrent in all this, that they're trying to sell the idea that authority is all, that you as a parent are at best just a trustee of the state to watch the state's children, and that you have no inherent right to go into a school where you believe there's a shooting taking place. It sounds like there is, at least, and to save your progeny. What it they don't quite want to say it, but what they're implicitly saying is those kids don't really belong to you. And this is the old Plato Republic model. This goes way back. The idea that biological parents are at best state trustees of the state's children, in loco parentis, in the place of parents. That's Latin, of course. You can just smell it. I mean, it's just inherent and implied in everything they do. Giving such young kids the COVID shots as young as 5, and Stanford University experimenting on 6-month-olds. What does that really tell you? Think about that. It's not just a medical thing. This is a ownership thing, but they can't quite say it flat out. But basically, they're saying you're a bonded, a bondman. You're part of the national debt equation. You're an actuarial statistic. Your labor is our labor to pay the national debt. You're a ward of the state. We won't call you that, but that's what you really are. That's what I feel from all of this. That's the undercurrent. And I have to check something out, but that's something that's implied, but it's becoming less implied and more explicit little by little all the time.
Yeah. All right. Good point there, Mark. Yeah. Feel free to step away and return if you can. Definitely. No problem. Yeah. Here's another thing, you guys, and I'll open the floor here if anyone wants to comment on this. Sunbell says in the chat, the communists told the population of Southeast Asia to eat bugs when they were starving from famine. Yes, maybe they're planning ahead. That's a great point there, and that kind of dovetails with what Mark was saying. It'd be one thing if we were just teaching young people to be prepared, and self-reliant, but I think we all know that's probably not what's going on here. We're talking about lab created bug food, factory created bug food, and the other thing I'll throw out there, and then I'll open it up to you guys, is there's also a bit of psychological operation happening on the parents here. And this is something we've seen with the Green New Deal, with the whole Greta situation, where the powers that be seem to want to rile the children up. They want to rile up young people. They want to put fear in young people, radicalize them over the green agenda, tell them that everything on the planet's going to be dead in 12 years. By the way, kids, if you believe that, they told us that in the 70s. They told us that in the late 90s. They told us that in 2004. They've been telling us this stuff over and over and over again, and none of it has come true. All of it has been pretty junky science, highly contested, much like the pandemic. People that contest it are not given any sort of platform, character assassinated, deplatformed, whatever. But anyways, you get the children freaked out about it, right? And they give it away right here. Verity Jones of the University of West England in Bristol, involved in the study, has previous experience of children and edible insects and is confident they can be a powerful force for changing their parents' behavior in this matter. Quote, many children have the power of pester, so in some cases can be great agents of dietary change within the family, she said, adding that bits of insects find their way into many of the foods we eat daily. Oh, okay. Just eat it because it's already a little bit in your food anyways. So yeah, there's that whole factor too. Like, they do this with firearms also. They get kids to try to snitch on parents. They did that with war on drug stuff. They do that with firearm stuff. There's this whole, and they do it with mean speak and all that stuff. That's another reason, going off what Mark said, where it's like, why do you want to put your kids in that situation where another adult is trying to get information out of them about what you might be doing wrong, or pre-program their brain to go home and use their, what they call it, their power of pester upon you? I mean, Oddman, that's pretty insidious. I think that's not very nice. I can't believe they're actually just out there saying that's the plan.
I know, man. It's pretty interesting how bold they are getting. It's just like the power of indoctrination. It just never ends, and it's like, it's just constantly something that they're pushing, and nowadays, especially, and it's a lot of these idealistic people that are in the education system. And I think it's always been that way, but now it's just went on for so long. I think that it's just really coming to a head, and it's just everywhere. And you have to wonder, I mean, what some of these people are thinking, how they live their lives. I mean, I talk about it all the time, but like these teachers that I've come into contact with the last few years, and I know there's good teachers out there. I have some good teachers in my family, but it's they're just giant kids. They're giant kids, and they want to fit in, and they just want to be part of the gang, basically. And it's not just the teachers; it's the curriculum too, and these ideas. It's crazy, and I think we do need to get our kids out of the schools if we can.
Yeah, maybe easier said than done, but man, we're just getting more and more and more verification that the school system's not going the right way. What do you think, Infidel?
Yeah, I mean, the really the problem is I know there's good teachers out there, but the problem is bad teachers are not questioned, right? You cannot do anything to bad teachers, right? It just, the culture right now of these teacher labors is really just producing those. You saw the actions of them during COVID, right? Like, no one thought about the kid psyche, and everybody was just freaked out. I don't want to go die, because I'm like, so what about all those kids? And then what about like the psychological damage you've done to those kids during this period of time for pushing for those measures? No one thought about it, because they don't think this way. It just, our education is broken. This is a fact. That's just public education in general. I just don't trust it, from, as you said, starting from curriculums to schools themselves, and all the policies around it. And it's not going to get any better. Let's just be realistic with each other. And you have the teacher labors are just really against any other alternative. That's why they have like this madness against charter schools. And they call Republican racist when they try to push for charter schools. Or even anybody that's proposing any solution that would touch those teacher and the teacher unions is completely against it. So I think we need to solve that teacher union problem. To be honest, we can either dissolve it if we can. I don't know how, but I think that will be a big part of the solution if we can do that. I just want to go back to this bug point. Really, instead of like, I know there will be food shortage. We are overpopulating Earth. This is a fact. We're growing, right? But what about instead of this, like, how about we go back and teach people how to be modest in eating? What about that concept, right? Is how can we like eat less and be more modest and eat cleaner food than just keep pushing for consumer mass garbage, which first they sold us McDonald's, and now they're trying to push for mass consumed industrial created bugs. That's basically mass farmed, because they have to control what those bugs eat, right? As you said, because that's going to affect what comes out of this bug. It's all the nutritional content in it, right? So it's another consumer alignment that they do, right? Is they want to get you in that consumer mindset because they want to set you up to go and buy those bugs from them, instead of you trying to learn how you can moderate your food. How can you eat less? We don't need to eat all the food we're eating. I catch myself guilty of that. Do I need to eat like 2 pounds of chicken? I don't need to eat that much to survive, but we overindulge.
Well, I want to say that I don't believe that the world is overpopulated now. I mean, I've driven across the United States 5 times, and it takes a few hours to get to any area that seems to be overpopulated. And from my understanding, Bill Gates just bought up a whole bunch of rural country here in the United States, and the Queen owns a lot all over the world as well. It's a misdistribution of food and resources depending on where you live. So, if you eat too much chicken one night, Infidel, it's not necessarily going to keep somebody from starving in a slave camp in China.
No, it is not, and this is not what I'm saying. But I do believe we're overpopulating, because if you look at just sheer numbers of humans, right, is what's going to happen to feed those people, right? Is we need to go cut more forests, and you need to find space where you need to grow food, where you need to raise whatever meat you want to do. And there are evidence, even when humans first, like thousands of years ago, when they started doing raising cattle, and actually that did some climate change, which is okay. But this is part of us being humans and us being the main people on Earth, right? It's something we have to accept. But it's also a question that we need to ask ourselves: is how much do we want to cut out of the greenery of the US to start building cities, Paul, right? So as you're saying, there is a lot of cities in the US that is underpopulated. Do we want to overpopulate those places? I do not want my Tennessee state to lose all its greenery and everything because it's just overpopulated piece of crap. I'm going to be honest with you.
No, yeah, I totally get that. But there's a lot of places that cows can graze and can be farmed on that aren't used for farming, that greenery doesn't even have to be removed from. I mean, if you drive through Texas, I mean, Mark, you see cows and pastures all over the place. There was no forest taken down for that. And those aren't all, accessible to everybody. They're, a lot of time private farms. They're not used to help keep the general public satiated with good protein and fat from animal foods.
So how much is meat price in Texas? Is meat price in Texas cheaper than anywhere else?
I don't know. Everything's more expensive right now.
I know. No, I'm just saying, so let's take Egypt, for example, right? Egypt is a country where it's 7% areas that's around water and areas where you can grow food. The rest is desert. You have 100 million people, like Egypt population, grow from don't want to mess up the number, but we were 60 million in 1990 to 100 million now in 2022. And I can get the exact numbers, but this is the figure in my head. And their food, you know, it's still same space to grow, right? For you to start expanding outside of that to go to the desert, it's going to cost so much, right? Some other countries, they have abundance of resources, but then you come into the whole point. Are we as world sharing resources? This is for us to be equalized? Like, okay, Russia has more resources, has more wheat, so are they going to share their wheat for free with everybody? You know,
well, yeah, but
everybody.
also, like, you know, Asia is surrounded by an ocean. Texas has ocean sides,
yeah,
but it's not surrounded by the ocean, so we don't have as much access to fresh seafood.
Yeah, exactly. So I know there is just more to it, right? I don't think it's as simple as, hey, like we're not overpopulating, or I understand where these people are coming from, but at the same time, it's. I was just talking about with the guys about this before the show. It's come to the moral question, or the question: who has the authority to make those decisions, right? Who has the authority to say, hey, you cannot have more than 2 kids because you're just overpopulating, right? Who has the authority to say, okay, you need to eat this or eat that, right? This is I think this is a moral question, not that this is not happening, but how can we solve it, and who has the moral authority to say that? Is this a collective decision or a few individual decision? That is my question.
Well, I don't personally think it's our individual moral decisions. It's the people that are in charge of things that get to decide who gets what. And that's, you know, when Biden was saying a couple months ago, we're going to have a food shortage soon. Well, then suddenly, you know, food factories are blowing up on fire and stuff like that. You know, there are a lot of women that use that terrible formula stuff for their babies, but that's what they rely on to feed their babies because that's what they were told. And there's a shortage of that. And now little infants are being put in hospitals because they are not, you know, not getting enough nutrition. I just don't think it's something that is up to the individual that we can all change. I feel like there's like policies in place and things going on in the background that affect all of us and what we're able to purchase at the grocery store or the gas station, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we've got shenanigans happening with the FDA, the EPA, all over the place. So yeah, it's a very it does get complicated. And then there's the whole idea of the replacement rate. Even CNN's reporting for a few years now that the fertility rate for the United States as of 2017 dipped below what's needed for the population to replace itself. So we got that whole thing going on too. And like Spore said, there's so many, I don't even know if we've talked about this on Boiler Room yet. I've had it in my notes for weeks, but what is the deal with all the fertilizer plants, the chicken farms? Like there are so many food supply hubs, all these, you know, these things are like all under attack. They seem to be like magically burning down all over the place. Seems like there's something going on there maybe.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the point you mentioned, Hesher, like just a minute ago, about the. Oh man, I totally blacked out. What's the point you mentioned before the fertilizer plants?
The fertility rate in the United States.
Fertility, thank you. Fertility rate, yeah, thank you. So fertility rate, yes, the fertility rate is decreasing in the United States, but how about our population? Like the total number of U.S. like actually population.
We got millions coming over the border. Right?
Exactly, right? So this is more of actually population replacement than anything else. That's what this is. This is this agenda is population replacement.
Yeah, now
so
we're getting
not. And you're talking about shortage, and just again, just to be realistic, right? I have a certain amount of money, and I have a certain amount of food, and I'm just gonna be pragmatic, right? As and I can only spend those on a set number of people, right? Do I spend those on my family, or do I gonna start like dividing this on people outside of my family first, or the people that those supposed to belong for first, right? And that's what happened when you start opening everything for people coming in. You start just throwing money and throwing all resources outside, and your own people cannot find food, as Sporo was saying earlier. It's
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, we covered a lot of ground there. Let's see what everybody else thinks. Anybody want to jump in there on that one?
I will if it's my turn. I don't know who's been going lately. I was away a little bit.
Go for it, Mark. Hop in.
Well, yeah, this has always been kind of a challenging thing. One of the things that needs to happen is we need to shorten the supply chains, whatever the population might be, whatever these factors might be. We cannot have these globalists constructing these huge supply chains where one break in the chain, one or two missing links, and the whole thing collapses. It's unwieldy, it's unnatural, it's undependable. And so a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, Bob Van Bemelen, passed away in August of 2020. He started the Unity Garden Project, and I played a role in that. We even produced the Unity Herald, a kind of a quarterly newsletter for a little while, 2017, 2018, in those years, probably going back to 2016. And we even had a celebration at a local church that planted the first Unity Garden. And people from all over Ypsilanti near Detroit, several dozen people came there, including the parishioners of the church itself, and we had a cookout, and we ate a lot of the vegetables and herbs that we grew in the Unity Garden. And it fostered fellowship, it fostered getting away from the television, talking about, everyday life, enjoying healthy food, the pride of creating your own niche in terms of healthy vegetables and fruits and herbs and things like this. And we drove home the point that it's not just a matter of better nutrition, although that's vitally important. It's a food security thing. Back in the Depression days, I believe that the statistic was 2 out of every 3 Americans had some connection to the land in producing something as minor as a few chickens laying eggs, to a small garden, to a larger farm. I believe, without looking it up, it was 2 out of 3 of every American. Now it's a tiny percentage of 1 American in a ratio. You know what I mean? You've got a population that, where even Justin Trudeau, everybody's favorite PM, was rumored to have said, when asked where food comes from, he said the grocery store. Right? and so we actually have a population of some kids that don't fully comprehend what it takes to produce food. And so certainly we don't want to be eating bugs, but we definitely need to go a little bit more agrarian here. Even Thomas Jefferson talked about the ideal of agrarianism, at least a degree of it, that you have to have some hand in producing the basic necessities of life. If this is just left to corporations, we're doomed. Let's face it, it's going to create untold problems. Now, these fires and weird food plants blowing up is tragic, but if we had much more of a localized food infrastructure, it would be only a minor blip. And I sense also, again, like with the public schools, I sense another opportunity here. And Spore is right. There are some women that simply, circumstantially, and according to consumer choice, need baby formula. But by the same token, do we want Abbott Laboratories and Nestle to feed our kids on a large scale? The question answers itself, right? The answer is a resounding no. We don't know what they're putting in there. Traces of fluoride, you name it. Brian David Anderson, who runs the Trivortex Clinic in Palm Desert, California, some very innovative health modalities, was talking about that. There's all sorts of things online, all sorts of different things you can do to feed your kids without resorting to much, if any, of these formulas. involving fresh fruit, involving herbs, involving almond milk. It could be other plant-based milk. It could be using regular dairy milk and doing something with that, and smoothies, fruit juices, you name it. And do we need Gerber to puree a vegetable, right? To have pureed carrots, do we need to go buy Gerber necessarily? So there's all sorts of opportunities lurking here. As far as the population question, that is a tricky one. Justin Walker of the UK once told me, and I might be getting this slightly wrong, and this is the last item just for this little segment, that if you put everybody in Brazil, I believe that each person, and may lightning strike me if I get this wrong, would have about 2 tennis courts worth of property with everybody on the earth in Brazil. That kind of puts things in perspective. I know the globalists through the Global Cities program are trying to corral people into the cities. And if you look at cities like Singapore and other like Hong Kong, you get the impression that we are very overpopulated. But as Spore was indicating, if you drive through Arizona, like I did recently, or New Mexico, there are parts of New Mexico where the population density is like 14 people per square mile.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a tricky thing. There's a lot of data that goes into that, but these are just some things that I've been involved in and observed over the last few years.
Yeah. Well, that's really good data point there. I guess we should move over to Ruckus since he's our New Mexico representative here. Ruckus, what do you think about everything that's been said, man, and with regards to New Mexico?
Well, I'm in Albuquerque, so it is a big city kind of thing. So, but you're absolutely right. You don't have to drive that far out of Albuquerque actually to find those types of population densities that Mark is mentioning. And not even some of these places that you think of. You probably already have this picture in your head, like going on a long car ride and you look over and there's nothing but open space. Yeah, you got that. But just on the other side of Albuquerque, there's like we live in the base of these mountains. And just on the other side of the mountains, it's like this nice forested, mountainy area towns that have like a couple hundred people living in each of these towns spread across all over God's green earth out here. Plenty of room for everybody. It's awesome. But to the point about, oh, by the way, I guess Mark, since he missed last week's show, he didn't know that food does not come from grocery stores, my friend. It comes delivered to you via drones.
That's right.
Oh, shoot, I forgot about drones. Damn.
Yeah. So yeah, you might want to catch up on last week's icebreaker to learn more about that. But to the population thing, I'm going to say something that might be a little controversial to more than two sides of this coin here, but y'all know that I believe I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible. That's my worldview. Okay, that's where I'm coming from with a lot of things sometimes. Okay, but the Bible, in the beginning, God commanded Adam and by proxy all of mankind basically to populate the world, and he said, "Be fruitful and multiply." But the multiplying came with, like, I think that first part was kind of like a contingency, like a caveat. Be fruitful first, people, and then go multiply, and we're in a situation where, like, I hate to, like, that almost sounds like the Bible giving pass to the elites who think that the world is full of useless eaters, but in a way it is. But the elites are the one who have socially power structures of control throughout the ages of human civilization that have set us to where we are right now, where we're racked and packed and stacked into these cities, and we're totally using all of the available land, all of the available resources the wrong way. It's not that there's not enough of it, we're just doing it completely wrong, and we're so far down the line that the only way to fix that, I guess we need a great reset.
Oh, I felt that coming. Ruckus. All right. Yeah, you're right.
We kind of reset.
Yeah, exactly. MindSpace, we may need a great reset, but we don't need the great. It's like Oddman always says, their order is not our order. Their great reset is not our reset. What do you think, MindSpace?
Yeah, I'm in total agreement that we do need a kind of reset, but we don't need theirs. We need people to shift their attitudes. And going back to sort of what Mark was talking about, how people, do not have a connection to the land and so on. It's like we're in this system of exchange and economics wherein, that is molding and sculpting people's attitude towards work and cooperation and how they conduct themselves in a society. So the social commerce is very constricted in a situation where we are so dependent. And that is what, of course, yes, there's the social engineering aspect to where we've been made dependent on many of these institutions, these corporate chains for the food and even for economics. And, you need a degree to participate in some strata of the economic system. So there's all these ways in which we're entangled and enmeshed in a situation that is being conducted by people who have the mindset of like a T.H. Huxley, who writes explicitly in his treatises talking about how, yes, society and civilization is like a garden and there's all these weeds in it and you got to get in there and you got to weed the garden sometimes. So that's just the fact of the matter. It's like that's the mentality of the people who own like the brunt of the industrial power and these and the commerce and can push a lot of their mindset and agenda onto the population at large. So if we don't want to, be at their beck and call, because at any time they might weed you out, that's the situation we're in right now, by the way, then we have to recognize that a shifting of our mental attitude back towards each other, back towards the land, back towards hard work. I know that this is like anathema, to many of us nowadays. But even just the beginnings of that will be painful, I think, because our societies, it's like we're one giant addict, basically, to this this way of doing commerce, etc., and this particular paradigm. So when you stop being habituated to this system, there's going to be some pain involved. And I think people need to recognize that there's good that comes out of pain and struggle and hardship. And we shouldn't lose sight of that because, while it's painful in the short term to rip yourself away from all of the lies and the normative way in which we've been conducting ourselves up to this point, there's something that we gain to a much greater degree going forward, which is our own sovereignty, autonomy, and we get to actually reforge those social bonds, which have been, sliced and diced up for the purpose of bringing in this, this satanic system of mind control and austerity. So, yes, I see that the real reset is in the hearts and the minds of the people if we can get our acts together for what's to come now.
Yeah, absolutely. MindSpace. That's really well said. That's what it's all about, folks. That is the true great reset of humanity there. Oddman, do you have anything you want to throw in there on this? I got one more quick headline I'm going to throw out there. I'll open it up one more time after I throw that for anyone who wants to throw any final thoughts out. But over to you if you got anything.
Everyone's had such great comments. I don't really have anything that I can really add to that except to say that it just seems like to me so many things in our world could be fixed or at least made better by localizing things, getting things back to like Mark said, we need to decentralize the food system. But not just the food, so many different things. And so the more our world is pushed to be global, the more we're dependent and affected by these global measures and these global policies. And we need to bring it back more locally, back to the states, back to the local areas, because this system that they have us on, it's like, it's poison to us, and when one thing goes bad in one area, then it's going to cause so many people to suffer. And so it sounds probably oversimplified to people, but I think that's the only way we can make things better.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That whole decentralizing seems to be a theme here. Sort of unwrap some of the red tape, decentralize, go back to a place in time where we were a little bit more sane, where the reality felt like it made a little bit more sense. I think Mark, if you're still there, go ahead and unmute and tell us goodbye. But it looks like maybe Mark has to go. So Mark, thanks for joining us tonight. That's Mark Anderson, the Truth Hound. And I'll just throw this one last thing out with we've been talking about food a lot tonight. And I'll just throw this one out too, because this one came across the dreaded Politico. Glyphosate, not carcinogenic, says EU Chemical Agency. The opinion is set to influence decision on whether to reauthorize the controversial herbicide in the EU. There you go. I feel fairly confident that glyphosate is not good for you and is a potential cancer-causing agent. I'm pretty sure there's I don't know any studies to hand, but I'm pretty sure we could find some that would back that up. So yeah, the food supply is that's not a good direction right there. We've always kind of looked to Europe as a place where they had a little bit more sanity when it came to these things. They didn't do the fluoridation in the water near as much as we did. They didn't do the genetically modified food near as much as we did here in the United States. It's outlawed in some countries in the European Union. And glyphosate was not in use. And now we're talking about rolling that back. So I don't know, open mic for anyone that wants to comment on anything that's been said so far or that. And we'll take a break after that.
I think you just found evidence that it also causes, as one of the side effects, greasy palms.
Yes, the old greasy palms. Yeah, definitely. All right. Anyone else there? Glyphosate. Amazing. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes against everything I read in the past. So I need really to read about this research and how did they do that research, because that's news to me.
Yeah, me too. I'll link that in the chat so everybody can check it out. I'll make sure you get a copy of it, man. I haven't gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. I just saw the headline and it's like, wait a minute, hold up. We're talking about food tonight, and the European Union is going to allow glyphosate back in. Like, I don't know what kind of study they could possibly do to make that point, because it seems pretty well established at this point. Even though we still do it, even though we still put that crap on food that we feed our children and ourselves. I mean, geez. If
Agent Orange coming back?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ruckus.
No, I was just wondering if they're going to bring back Agent Orange too.
Oh yeah, that might be a nice additive. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Spore?
Isn't that like one of the key ingredients in Roundup? Like, what?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. Yeah.
It basically is Roundup. Yeah. There's a long litany, I think, of bad news when it comes to Roundup and all that stuff.
I think it's just the brand name of it, dude.
Yeah, right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to to go on, like, what's causing all like the explosion and people's health problems and things like that. You know, it's death by 1,000 cuts. So glyphosate is part of that. But you know, just go and read any food label in the middle of those grocery stores, and you could probably find 10 to 12, 15, 20, whatever chemical agents that are part of that poisoning that's going on to the whole population. So we need less additives, not more here.
Yeah.
And notice what they were talking about carcinogenic, Hesher, right?
Yeah.
So this is really the trick, right? Is so they define carcinogenic, right? And they linked everything to carcinogenic. Whereas there are other side effects of that, right? Like liver diseases, kidney diseases, actually risks on pregnant women and children outside of being carcinogenic, right? So they dropped all those risks and they are talking about only the carcinogenic, which is, you know, this is one of the strategies, like, you know, those agencies usually use, is they focus on one aspect. They get you to think about that aspect, but they leave everything else out. And there are research that actually ties that to liver disease and risks on pregnant women and children, as well as not just that, actually disturbance of the microbes in the soil, effects on pollinators and bees and other insects that actually increase the production of those plants. So you cannot just take one title and just tie it to it. You have to look at the whole picture if you're really, considering anything of bringing that back.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that thing with like the not carcinogenic. If I had to guess, it'd be similar to what they do with acceptable levels of radiation, or acceptable amounts of rat shit in your peanut butter. That kind of stuff. Like they can always just move that goalpost. They move the goalpost, change the definition of what's acceptable, and all of a sudden, you got cancer.
Yep. I also want to go back to previous point. Sorry, I don't want to hijack the conversation, but I think also to a point that Spore mentioned about like this, how all this like from population to food, all the cyto policies, right? Big part of what we're seeing right now in population increase is due to government policies. Is by you encouraging people to live off you, to have kids to live off you, you're causing those problems, right? So those are the same politicians that are basically pushing for those solutions that we see right now and talks over overpopulation. At the same time, their policies is what's encouraging people to have more kids. And it's actually encouraging irresponsible people to have more kids, not the other way around. The unfruitful people, as Ruckus was saying. So this is how I just wanted to end that point.
Yeah, definitely. Good one. All right, you guys. I think we're going to take a break unless anyone wants to jump in there one more time. Mark, do we have you a little bit longer, or do you have to leave soon?
No, I got to leave. I've been traveling all day and drove through the most outrageous rainstorm. It lasted forever. It was raining pitchforks and lawyers. But a quick announcement is all of a sudden Bilderberg's going to meet, and they're starting today, June 2 through 5. They say in the Washington D.C. area. Reportedly, an American Free Press subscriber checked their usual haunt in Greater D.C., which is the big fancy Marriott in Chantilly, Virginia. But apparently they had rooms available. So it could be the Mandarin Oriental, where the trilaterals have met before, where I've been. But Bilderberg, after 2 years of not meeting, quasi-publicly, is meeting again starting today through Sunday in the D.C. area. So that I just learned that 2 hours ago.
Wow, how about that? We're live on Rokfin tonight, and I followed Jason Burmis over there, and I saw a notification that he was going live and talking about Bilderberg, and I was like, whoa, I haven't heard anything about Bilderberg this year yet. I wonder what's going on there. So thanks for breaking that one there for us, Mark. Pretty interesting. What do you think? Do you think we're gonna get any we got any alt media out there? We're gonna get any good footage? You're gonna get anybody putting them on the spot? All right, looks like Mark had to bail out, but we'll keep an eye out for that. Should be interesting. Kind of a pop-up Bilderberg, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't hear about it with all this other stuff going on. But all right, looks like Mark's back one more time. All right, Mark, over to you. Do you think we're going to see any? Do you think we're going to see any action on that? Is the alt media going to be out there covering it for us, or did it just pop up out of nowhere?
Well, it looks to me like the notice they gave was less than 24 hours ago for a meeting that started today, which is an even more acute version of their usual antics of short notice. Did Jason Burmis indicate, Hesh, whether he's there covering it or knows that he's going somewhere, or did he just announce that they're meeting?
I don't know. I literally just saw the little notification pop up saying that he was going live with a video about it, and it was truncated, so I didn't really get any data out of it. I was just kind of surprised to see Bilderberg pop up on my screen. The
American Free Press did hobble something together through the managing editor, Paul Angel. Can I send the link to that article on the chat on this, or should I send it to you later on Skype or something?
Oh yeah, you can just drop it in here in the private chat or in the comments, either way.
Yeah, Paul hobbled together. I've been on the road. He hobbled together an article, and it I don't know if it lists the topics, but I can get you that too. One of the topics is, again, Russia. Another has to do with the pandemic. And there's 10 or 12 others. I'll get that to you. I got to cut out right now, but as soon as I do, I'll send these links. That'll be the first thing here in just a minute.
All right. Well, Mark, thanks for joining us, and we'll do it again very soon.
Yeah, great conversation, guys. See everybody soon, man. Look forward to it.
All right. That's Mark Anderson, the Truth Hound, everybody. thetruthhound.com. And of course, hosting Stop the Presses on RBN Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 p.m. Central. We're going to go to break in a minute here. But let me real quick just remind everybody we are in the middle of our Shillin' for Sanity. It's our spring donation drive here. And we started that on 4/20. We started that on April 20th. And it looks like I think I'm going to run it until summer officially starts, which will be the 27th of this month, I think. And real quick, I would like to shout out Michael M., Roger G., Creative Accidents, Lucas S., CNN. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm sure I didn't. CNN M., Jolene, Tony D., 21 Wire, Roger G., Claire B., Nicola J., Infidel Pharaoh, Justin T., Timmer, Roy S., Strandizzle, Izzy, Philip F., Blackfire, Eric W., Bob M., Photon, Jeff O., Joe M., Awake Jake, Adam H., and our patrons, and of course, anyone I may have missed. Thank you very much for supporting Alternate Current Radio. We very much appreciate that and have already taken the proceeds, approximately $1,500, and put them back into the studio, back into the business, back into the system here. So you guys are helping us stay afloat, helping us stay alive, helping us get to that next phase of business development. And if you want to jump in there and support Alternate Current Radio, we are here shilling for our sanity and your own. So if you've been thinking about supporting us, it's a great time to do it. We're getting ourselves set up for the rest of the year here. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming. And big shout outs to everybody in the chat rooms. Big shout outs to the patrons and those folks that I just mentioned. Thank you very much. A few of those folks kicked in more than once even. So very, very much appreciated. And we will give you another update on that next week. We'll get another update next week. And we're going to take a quick break over here in the boiler room, and I think we'll probably cut the video streams and move over to Rokfin for the second half, and we'll see everybody over there. So the broadcast is going to stop on the video streams. We'll get some links out to everybody in the chats so that you know where to go when the next stream starts up. What else can I tell you? I guess I'll remind everybody of a famous quote before we go to break here. This is from Henry Kissinger, who said, "Who controls the food supply controls the people. Who controls the energy can control whole continents. Who controls money can control the whole world." There you go. There you have it. We'll be back with a new stream. If you're listening on Spreaker, don't go anywhere. There'll be some music. You won't have to refresh or anything. And if you're out there on YouTube, thanks for checking us out. AlternateCurrentRadio.com. That's where you find us. And we'll see you again real soon. We'll be back for part 2 of this episode on Rokfin.